So morning, everybody. I am still going to be here for the participants and checking the waiting room and stuff. But as we talked about, the Cedars funding is hopefully going to let us do a little bit more collaboration in terms of meeting facilitation and passing things between SRPC and RPC and RADC. So this morning, Jen Kimball is actually going to be running this call, so I'll hand things over to her.
Excellent. So please bear with me because I'm nowhere near as talented and organized as James is, but we do have, everyone should have their agenda. And our first item, we've been talking about this, is a presentation about the Kiva program. And I'm going to let Kit McCormick talk about that. Kit is a part-time employee at RADC, and she is a business advisor, and her primary role is running the Kiva program, which is statewide. And so I'm going to turn it over to Kit, who is going to tell us about Kiva.
Okay, what I'm going to do is share my screen. I've got a PowerPoint presentation, so that'll take a second. Let's see, let's go to share screen first of all. Okay. And we'll get the PowerPoint started, which will take a second. Yep. So thank you for having me. Y'all can see that, I assume? Good, okay. And you can hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, great.
Sounds good.
So I just want to run through the Kiva program really quickly with you. I'm not going to dive into the long history about Kiva and all of that. What's important here, I think, is for you to understand why it's important for RADC to be involved with Kiva, what Kiva represents to the community and to our small businesses. And I am not that adept at PowerPoint, but I have very simple slides. What I want to do is have more of a conversation. Please stop me if you have questions. And if it's something that I'm going to get to later, we'll put a pause on it and we'll talk about it later. So is the title for Kiva is Enabling Communities to Expand Capital Access for Financially Excluded Entrepreneurs. I got to get rid of something here. There we go. Oh, let's see. For some reason, we're not going down. All right, let's try this one. There we go. RADC recently, about a year ago, partnered with Kiva US. It's Kiva is a crowd-funded microloan option. And I say that we add it to our assistance programs because we don't manage the loan fund. What we do is help borrowers or applicants access the crowd-funded loan fund. Kiva does the underwriting. We, meaning I, provide technical assistance on the application process and the loan process. We do not gain anything financially from this partnership. In fact, it costs us a fair amount. It costs me, and we have to pay fees to Kiva US for the privilege of helping applicants and borrowers. And we do this because it's very mission driven. We try to help fledgling, startup, growing businesses access loan funds to continue to grow and help our economies. And Kiva is really, as we said, financially excluded. It is the bottom of the credit ladder. It is people who probably would not have access to loan funds if it weren't for Kiva. It is one option. We say that RADC is the hub for Kiva applicants. Any application that is started online, and Kiva is all based online, it comes to me via the customer relations management software. So as soon as someone starts an application, I can see it. And once they submit it, it is up to me to help to review it. But what this does for REDC is it really gives us the opportunity to connect with these fledgling startups, these fledgling small businesses. And like I said, it's a loan option for people that might otherwise not have a loan, get a loan, because sometimes someone needs a very small amount. And Kiva is an option for that. But again, we're looking at economic development. We have the opportunity to see these people. I reach out to everybody who starts an application and see if they need some assistance, if there's anything we can do to help them. Of course, there's quite a number of people that don't want any help. I've seen large numbers come through the application process. We've been active with Kiva for about 11 months, and I've had 95 applications started. Some people think it's a free and easy money, and they fill out their name and don't get very far with the application and then drop off. But some people do continue, and then that's where I get more involved with the applicant and eventually, hopefully, the borrower. As I said, Kiva targets financially excluded individuals. It is a loan fund. It is crowdfunded. It's not like other crowdfunded options. It is a loan. It carries a 0% interest rate and no cost to the borrower, no fees. There's borrowers don't have to have any collateral, and they don't have to have a credit score, or a poor credit score is accepted. And this is really pretty unusual for a loan fund. Again, it helps people who would otherwise not have an access to a loan fund. And financially excluded individuals, there are a number of factors that Kiva looks at. It can be women are considered financially excluded. That might change sometime in the future, but currently that's the case. Immigrants, refugees, people who have had a bankruptcy in the past, as long as it's been discharged or dismissed. Those are all things that might make someone financially excluded, but Kiva considers these people for a loan. Again, please stop me if you have any questions as I go along. Although people don't have to have collateral, what they do have to have is social collateral. They have to have people that are close to them, friends, family, clients, customers, that believe in them enough to commit to giving them a loan. Now, the loans on Kiva have a minimum amount of $25, which isn't too much. And Kiva is sort of unique, as the slide said. A portion of their loan amount has to be raised privately. So Kiva loans have two segments, two portions to them. One is a private loan, and borrowers have 15 days to have a certain number of people commit to giving them a minimum of $25 each. What this does is validate the person that they are creditworthy, that the people that know them best are willing to lend to them. Kiva determines what that number of persons is. It's not a dollar amount in the private phase, it's a number of people. And the borrowers have to hit that number of people before they go on the public platform. Once they hit their goal of the number of people, then they are viewable by over 2 million lenders on Kiva platform. And Kiva lenders are impact driven, as is Kiva. Kiva approval process to a certain extent is impact driven. And what we mean by that is that this loan is going to have an impact on that person personally, on their business, and or on their community. And when people present themselves to the private lending portion, and especially the public lending portion, they should be telling a story that says this loan is going to make a great deal of difference to me in my life or in my community. So let me bring up the qualifications. Kiva does have its standards. Someone has to be at least 18 years of age. It can't be an illegal business. What's the other qualification? But anyhow, it can't be a pyramid scheme, it has to be a business that is nationally, federally legal. It can't be a state-by-state thing such as marijuana sales. The loan sizes are truly micro amounts. They're 1 to 15,000. That's much smaller than any traditional lender will make. And this is terrific for a lot of small businesses, because sometimes someone who is, sort of cash poor, doesn't have collateral, but wants or is in a very small business. They're doing landscaping and they need, $5,000 or $6,000 for some equipment, or a baker. I've had a number of restaurants and bakers who need an oven, who need slicers, needs pieces of equipment, and that might amount to $5,000, $6,000, $10,000. And people who don't have bank accounts, or they don't have equity in their homes or whatever, they cannot access loan funds. So Kiva is a nice option for this in this situation. This next slide talks to this private fundraising phase. And the way Kiva works is there's sort of different buckets. There's the $1,000 to $3,000 level. And at the lower level, there are fewer private lenders needed. So in their private fundraising phase, they might be required by Kiva, and Kiva makes this determination that they have to raise at least $25 from each of 5 to 15 lenders. Let's call it 10. And the term of the loan is 12 to 18 months. Kiva is an all or nothing deal. The borrower has to hit the goal that Kiva sets. If Kiva says you want to borrow $3,000, you need 10 private lenders. If the borrower doesn't hit that goal in the 15 days it's allowed, they don't move on to the public phase. If they hit their goal of 10 lenders, let's say, they go on the public platform, and I'll show you the public platform at the end of the presentation if we have time. And then on the public platform, they have up to 30 days to hit their dollar amount. And if it's $3,000, the borrower must hit the $3,000 goal or they get nothing. So again, Kiva is an all or nothing. And as you see on the slide, as the amount of the loan goes up, so does the requirement for more private lenders. Basically saying we need more people to vouch for you by being willing to lend you a minimum of $25 each. Of course, they can lend more. In some cases, Kiva lowers those amounts if they believe that the person's community, sometimes in immigrant communities, they might not have a large community to draw from, and Kiva has been sensitive to that and maybe lowering that goal, but they still have to hit the goal of the private lenders in order to move to the public platform. And as we see, as the amount goes up, so does the requirements. And on the next slide, which is similar, it's a little more graphic, is that there are certain things that determine what bucket is allowed. Someone can ask for or put on their application they would like $10,000, but it is the Kiva review team that determines what they qualify for. And some of the things that qualify someone is a debt to income ratio. Obviously, if they have a very high debt to income ratio, they do not have available money to pay off a $15,000 loan. So they will be pushed to a lower bucket, if you will. Kiva also looks for a separate bank account that the personal finances are separated from the business finances. Kiva is sensitive to where the business is on the life cycle. If a business is just concept, pre-startup, they will be pushed to the lower bucket. As a business is further along in the life cycle, has positive cash flow, perhaps, that would put them at a higher, the ability to borrow more. Kiva also looks for a government-issued proof of business, a LLC or a name registration of some sort. Again, Kiva makes these determinations. My role, Kiva has bestowed me and other people with the title Capital Access Manager. And every hub has a Capital Access Manager, pardon me. And our job is really to assist these borrowers or these applicants to put forth the best application that they have, they can, and to help them through these different phases of fundraising, the private fundraising phase, the public fundraising phase, by providing advice and coaching. And also we monitor the loans to make sure they're repaying. And certainly we offer business assistance if appropriate, or if it's accepted. Are there any questions at this point? I'm kind of zooming along. All right, keep going.
Yeah, Kit, this is Warren Daniel. I have a couple of
Yep.
questions for you. Thank you for this. This is excellent. So those private loans of a minimum of $25.
Yeah.
Do those have to be formalized with loan documentations, or how is that codified?
Well, I'll talk about that. Well, it's on the loan process. Is again, REDC is providing technical assistance. Kiva US really does the loan, and Kiva US does not make any money from the loans. All the loans, all money is handled via PayPal. So, and it is all internet and software based exchanges. So lenders in the private phase, again, this is part of the loan process. During the private phase and the public phase, lenders commit to lending online via PayPal. And so that's how the money's handled. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, but you don't need a loan documentation, right?
Yeah. The Kiva sends
Outside
out
of PayPal.
an agreement to
Okay.
the borrowers.
Even for something as low as $25.
For the lender, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. And my other quick question is, this is not a federal program at all. This is all social network private funding, right?
Yeah, it's a nonprofit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were there
Anything
any
else? Anybody else? Okay. So the loan uses are business loan uses. It can be for inventory, working capital, equipment, hiring someone. It cannot be used to pay down other debt. It cannot be used for personal finances. You know, it's pretty reasonable. One thing that I don't share with borrowers is there isn't a lot of follow-up. That's where sort of the private fundraising phase, the social collateral comes in, is that they have to prove, you know, that they have the trust of other people. Kiva does do a soft dive on the applications. They make sure that the person is who they say they are. They do some Google searches on the person. They do a soft credit pull. That is their sort of credit risk assessment. It is not the CAM, myself, my role. Although I do take a look at the background just to make sure I know who I'm talking to. The loan process, again, it's all online. Individuals go to kivaushub.org, and there is a loan button, and they push it on it, and there is an online application. Kiva says it takes 30 to 60 minutes to fill out a loan application. And yeah, that's true. But if they want to put forth a good application, it takes a lot longer. I work with people for anywhere from a couple of weeks to a month or so to improve and put forth the best application that they have. In a way, it's sort of like a dating site. Once you're on the public site, there are probably anywhere from 40 to 80 other loan applicants on the site who are telling their story, that have a picture. And so the lenders look at the picture and they look at the story of the business of the person, and they decide whether or not they're going to lend to them. So that just like a dating site, that first couple of minutes of a good picture and a good story are very important to being successful on the Kiva US site. So anyhow, someone fills out an application, and as soon as they start the application, I can see it and I reach out to them. The next step is they submit an application, and then it is in my review. And that at that point, I tell them I start editing, working with them to edit their application. If it gets to be as good as it can, I send it on to Kiva review. Kiva does the sort of next level dive into the person and the borrower and some of their finances, and then makes a decision as to how much they're qualified for and what their private fundraising goal will be. And they will send that as a loan offer to the person. The person has a right to refuse it. If they wanted $12,000 and Kiva approves them for $5,000, they can make that decision whether or not that's going to help their business or not, and accept it or not. And they have a couple of weeks to respond. Once they respond, they can also set the date of when they are going to start their private fundraising phase. And then the clock starts ticking, and they have the 15 days to get 10 people, 20 people to commit to lend them a minimum of 25. Once they hit that goal, they're on the public site, and they have 30 days to raise their loan amount. There isn't as much control on the public site. I've worked with some people to improve their photo once they're on the site, because we aren't getting traction. There's a couple of things we can do to help with that process, but not a lot. Currently, I have had 6 loans go through. I have not had anyone fail in the process. The Kiva, I only have 2021 numbers. In the US, there was an 84% success rate on the private phase and a 94% success rate on the public phase. So it's pretty good. We're expecting that 2022 might not be as good because of economic pressures, but that is yet to be seen. Any questions on the loan process? Any questions at all? You know what I'd like to do is stop this and bring up the Kiva website. If I can find it, here we go. Just for y'all.
I will say that I have not done it personally, but I do know that several of the REDC employees have supported both local clients and clients worldwide by those $25 donations. And I know at least one person has said they already got the money back. So again, I know Kit has mentioned it goes through this PayPal type process. They loan the $25, and then once the borrower starts paying back, then you will get that money back in your PayPal account.
Yeah, and the reason it's through PayPal is Kiva US is PayPal's favorite charity. They donate all processing fees. So yeah, loans are dispersed and collected through PayPal. Lending is done through PayPal. And I just brought up, if you can see it, this is the lender site where you go and you sort of check out somebody who is they have a problem with the site sometimes. Check out borrowers who are campaigning to meet their goal. And you know, if you can see this, the people have the opportunity to tell their story about their business and why they're doing what they're doing. And then it's very easy to lend, especially if you already have a PayPal account. Any questions? You're a quiet bunch, yes.
John, you had a question?
Yeah, I do. Kit, are there multiple kits around the state of New Hampshire, for example, or would you handle requests from different parts of the state?
Yeah, there's one kit. Kiva, a hub we sort of determined the size of the hub that we wanted, and because New Hampshire is such a small state, we're the hub for all of the state. Some hubs in population dense areas are just, there's a hub for Pittsburgh, and you know, there are several hubs around the cities in California, but we are probably, with Delaware being the exception, one of the smallest hubs in terms of population base. Maine does not have a hub. Some areas do not have hubs. And what happens then is an applicant doesn't get the support of a CAM. They sort of go into the whole pool for Kiva. Kiva does have some support, but people have to sort of navigate the process pretty much on their own with some support from the Kiva US team, which is based in California. But a hub, a CAM and hubs, I should say some hubs have more than one CAMs because of the population density. We at RADC are thinking about bringing someone else on as another CAM, because it's not great just having one person. You know, it's good to have some other people. If something happens to me, if I'm out for a couple of weeks, the Kiva US team kicks in and provides the support that I would have.
So you wouldn't mind if I passed this information on to our 35 chambers around the state of New Hampshire?
Love it. Love it. I hope that there was a flyer that was distributed with your agenda that has some of the basic information, and it has my contact information. One of the things that is sort of interesting to me, but after years of working with small businesses, why would I be surprised, is an awful lot of people start the application and have no idea what Kiva is all about. And then when I reach out to them and talk to them and explain the whole process, and they find out about the private fundraising phase, and or they figure out that this isn't just free and easy money, you know, 0% interest, no fees, and that they're going to have to actually put some work into it, they drop off. Like I said, we've had 95 applicants. I have had, of the 95, I've had 67 people that I've turned down or have withdrawn themselves. And I have the ability to turn down people if it's not a qualifying business. And a big reason for turn down is people start their application. They think it's free and easy money. And then when I tell them they're going to have to work on their application and there's other things that they need to do, they just go MIA. And after they're MIA for a month or two, we call that unresponsive. They're not gonna respond if we give them a loan and they stop paying. You know, we want people who are actively engaged and good and reasonable and responsible individuals to borrow from Kiva, because the bar is pretty low for them to be able to borrow, but we do have our standards.
Kit, Darren asked if there are any NH Kiva success stories we can share. And I know we definitely have some success stories. What are they on our RED site, or where do we find that information? Yeah, we've been working on that. The loans just came through this summer, which now in terms of months is a while ago, but it was in working hours, it seems like a heartbeat ago. I will check with Laura and make sure that they are up on our site. We have had a range of loans. I think the largest loan was $14,500, which was pretty substantial. It was for an existing business and someone that had a very low debt to income ratio. And we've had a number of loans that are around the $5,000 range, where people needed a little boost and they put in the work and they have a $5,000 loan to repay. Another thing that is good about Kiva loans is, again, for these people at the very bottom of the commercial lending ladder, you know, they don't have a track record, is that they can opt in for commercial credit reporting. Kiva does not report to credit agencies, but they will report on commercial credit if someone says that they want to. And I did put REDC's Kiva site, which has links to getting started as a lender and a borrower on that site. And I was just looking. I don't quickly see anything about success stories on that site, but I know that we do definitely have them.
I think they've come out on Facebook rather than on the site. So yeah,
probably
I'll ask Laura to post some. We were working with one of the clients who has a nice little catering business to put her up on the site. Excuse me. You know, the lending is really rewarding and fun to go online and see what these people are doing, and to lend $25. And then you get a little bit back on your PayPal account every month as they repay. But it's fun and it's rewarding. That some people, we have a lending group, Lend New Hampshire, if you want to join that. We're trying to sort of get that off the ground. There are lending groups around the country who get very energized about certain loans, and they share. You don't have to lend if someone in the lending group is. It is just taking a look, sharing information about the loans that are out there. And some of those lending groups have specific areas of interest. Some are keyed into environmental businesses, some are keyed into women-owned businesses, et cetera. But take a look and see if you're interested in lending. It's great fun, really. It's neat to see what all these people are doing, and keep in mind they're struggling. We're hoping that the 0% interest rate will create a little bit more interest, and hoping that the economic pressures will actually have people a little more sympathetic and dive into some more lending.
Thanks, Kit. Barbara?
Is this program shared with other organizations, like small business development centers and those organizations?
Yes, yeah. We're building the relationship. We have what is called a trustee at the SBDC. A Kiva trustee is just someone who really understands the Kiva process and helps to advise on the Kiva process. So yes, the SBDC score, I've promoted it with both organizations, and like anything, we have to continue to remind them that Kiva is out there.
Kit, is that person Andrea at the SBDC?
Yeah. And I've given presentations with SBA and working on giving presentations to SBA lenders, because they're a very good referral source. It gives them something to hand to a potential borrower that they cannot work with. In other words, someone comes in and they don't have a credit score, they don't have collateral. The banker can say, hey, take a look at Kiva.
Barbara wanted to know, can you get a term extension?
Yes and no. What someone can do is negotiate for a smaller monthly payment. And again, this is not something we really advertise, because there are some people who have negotiated very small payments on their loans, and then they're repaying for years and years and years. They're depending on the situation, there might be a grace period for a business. Kiva is very understanding on illness and other extenuating circumstances. Yeah.
Do you, once the loan, we've had 6 loans that have gone through, once that happens, do you continue to support those borrowers?
Yes.
A technical assistance capacity? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they have to be willing and accepting of that assistance. And as Warren knows, at the SBDC, some people want to have help and other people don't. I have a couple that are very actively engaged, and some that once they get the money, they run. But fortunately, they're repaying the loan. So that's the important part.
Excellent. Are there any other questions about Kiva?
Please take a look at the flyer, and that'll, it's good basic information, and share it as much as you'd like.
So I think the next,
Go ahead.
sorry. I was
I
just saying
Just one more point is we get much better quality applicants through referrals. So that's why I push for it.
And so that's what my point was to be, if you, in your capacity as an economic development person or chamber person or whatever your capacity is, if you are meeting with businesses or individuals who don't technically or wouldn't normally qualify for a loan or such, you can, give them the flyer, the website I posted in the chat, which will lead them to more information. And they can also through that have a portal to email Kit directly with questions. And then if you specifically have questions, you can get a hold of me and I can give you Kit's contact information as well.
Mhm. And it's on the flyer. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you very
Thank you
much,
all.
Kit.
Thanks.
That's very exciting. It's an exciting process, and it's new, like she said, it's new in New Hampshire. And so we've been spending a lot of time getting the program up and running, and we do have some success stories. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you.
all.
All right, well, we're going to switch gears now. One of the things we talked about, we did not have a meeting 2 weeks ago, so I guess it was 4 weeks ago. We talked about the metrics that are needed for our CEDAR grant with BEA. And one of the things we had mentioned a meeting ago was what are some hard numbers or things that you folks out there in the communities can provide to us, like how many clients have you seen, how many businesses have you helped, things like that. And so excuse me, we just wanted to kind of bring that up. We had asked if there were things that people could provide. Does anyone have ideas, things that the communities could provide that we could then pass on as part of this grant? None, no one has
Well,
any.
at the SBDC, we have a very active management information system that's pretty powerful, and there is information that we could provide around how many clients we help from the Seacoast on an annual basis. I guess would need to know more specifically what you're looking for, and what geographic area that would involve.
So
Jane?
Warren, I think we are looking for information that partners could give us that can help, show the benefit of this group to your work, and the impact that this group is having. Some of the hard data may be harder to come by, but if you have it, we're interested in hearing what it might be. We also talked about potentially having some things that were a little bit more qualitative. Hey, this is a description of how this benefits at me, and see if we can drop some breadcrumbs over to some of the data. So I think one example that we talked about, Warren, with the small group for the workforce development marketing would have been is there any way that partners like SBDC, once we get those marketing assets out, would be able to keep track of how many people came to them because they saw some of those materials, for example. For some general, the benefits of these calls, it might be, in an ideal, we have perfect data about everything. I was able to help, 15 businesses using information that I learned on these calls, or, the time that we saved by hearing about PPP, with people on one of these. I didn't have to go out and research it myself, so that let me put this much more time into technical assistance or something like that.
And James, it would just be from October 1st through December 31st, technically. We reached that.
Yes,
Maybe that's a Macau question.
I think if we are looking for showing the benefit of the Cedars grant sort of in isolation, October 1st is our helpful start date.
Yes.
So confirmation there. So even though this group's been running for quite a while, it would be beneficial to kind of focus on this current quarter. What Darren, it was through said Cedar that I was able to get info from SBA and deliver it to over 12,000 Rockingham County businesses. So there's a good number there. One of the things, so we, and I say we loosely, that it'd be mostly SRPC and RPC and RADC on a peripheral there, need to submit our report by the end of this year. And with the holidays coming up, it makes it's a time crunch. And so what we're asking is that if you can provide either some qualitative, quantitative information about how this group has helped you in your capacity, if you can email that to James or to Sarah or to myself, but primarily James, that by next Friday, which is December 9th, that would give us time to put together the report and follow up with any questions. Robin, did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just, I think I sent a letter before Thanksgiving to you, James. Does that ring a bell?
I've got the
Qualitative.
letter. I haven't been through
Okay.
it.
Just let me know if you need it to take a different twist or whatever, but
Sure.
again, highly qualitative versus quantitative. I tried to underscore the value of the group.
Thanks, Robin. All right. So yeah, so
So Jen,
yep.
So as another example, and I think we're on the right track. If you recall, the last meeting we had talked about that the state had decided to go to a second round of the restaurant grant program.
That's right. Okay.
And so my sharing it with this group, I'm sure that some of you, if not all, then went back and started thinking about who they could talk to, who they could share that information with in their local communities. Would that be an example?
Yes. So if there are any of the people here who took that information and then passed it on to their community, that would be a perfect example of how important this group is.
And I think, to the point of the comment that Darren put in the chat, I think ideally what we'd like to do is get at least enough agreement behind what those categories or what those numbers might be, that everybody's giving us the same or similar information. We can certainly share one-off benefits. Hey, this information that I shared with my city manager and it led to a project for our city. And if nobody else can say that, we can still show that as a benefit. But if we also know that, Robin, you take information here and you share it with email lists for your businesses, and Darren does the same, and Natalie does the same for sort of our region-wide lists. Having all of those collective numbers of how many does Darren send it to, how many do we send it to, how many do you send it to, is there any overlap that we might need to subtract some of those back out, so that when we pass that along to BEA, we can say information that's shared in this meeting, even if businesses aren't interacting with it directly, is then pushed out to 25,000 businesses in the greater Seacoast. I think that would be sort of what I would like to be able to get to a statement like that if we could.
So anybody who's in charge of newsletters or that type of information for your group, whether it's just your individual community or if it's widespread, if you could share that information and talk about kind of who you know, is it like Darren said, Rockingham County, you know, is it Rockingham County? Is it, you know, the town, the city of Portsmouth? Is it, you know, that kind of thing? If you can share that information, that would be helpful.
Can I add a comment here?
Yeah.
So it isn't just that we put the information out. For me anyway, I understand the information a lot better. When we talk stuff through, it helps me with my clients because I'm just one person. But when I get a collective thought and I can think it through better with all this expertise we have on this board, it definitely helps me do my job better. I don't know how quantitative that is, but it certainly is the case.
I agree 100% on that.
That definitely sounds like a qualitative thing that if you want to put it into a testimonial or a statement or something, you know, we can certainly share that. I'm not sure, unless you're getting like monthly performance reviews rated out of 5 stars and we have before and after, you know, I think we still need to, you know, sort of show that qualitatively. Hey, this is a sentiment that Darren has, maybe a bunch of other people share. You know, maybe illustrating that with some examples from your work of, you know, this is something that I was actually able to do because of understanding that I gained here. Yeah, I'm just sort of thinking of what specifics can we give them that are really going to drive home that benefit and that value.
All right, great. Thanks, Darren. So yeah, so again, with the kind of crunch time coming up, if anyone on this call, and we can put this also in the in an email to the group because not everyone's here, but if you can get both, you know, qualitative, quantitative numbers, stories, anything specific to James by next Friday, which is December 9th, that would be very helpful.
And Mikhail, format question. So we've got an existing report template that we had been using for our targeted block grants that go to OPD. We submitted that with our first request for reimbursement under this, just sort of the same. We're reporting on the progress we've made, the activities that we as, you know, the managing staff have done. I would imagine that you are not looking for this to have, you know, 15 full-length letters on letterhead attached to whatever report we submit. We're probably looking for, like, if people could boil a testimonial or some of the stuff down to like a paragraph that we could have in a report itself.
Yes, perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so shorter, to the point, I think would be better for sort of that end product fit.
And Darren just noted, don't forget about the Patriots ad. So that part too. All right, well, thanks for that feedback, and that'll be great. Again, December 9th. We also wanted to quickly touch base on the schedule for the rest of the year. So we did not have a meeting 2 weeks ago. Our next scheduled meeting is December 13th, which is in 2 weeks. Then the meeting after that would be December 27th. So our first question is, are people going to be around the 27th? I'm already seeing thumbs down. Is there anybody who feels a strong need to meet on December 27th? Please speak now. All right, so the group consensus from the thumbs down I saw and the shaking of the heads is no meeting on December 27th. So then that means that the next question is we could potentially have, if anyone feels like we need to have a meeting to cover any of the topics that we have not yet hit for this quarter, we could meet next week, which is December 6th. Is there any comments, strong feelings on adding a meeting to the schedule for a specific topic that you'd like to discuss before the end of the quarter? If not, we can talk about these things in January. I'm not seeing any quick movements or raising of the hands. So based on that, I'm going to say that we are fine having one more meeting for the rest of this year, which would be in 2 weeks on December 13th.
You know, just to offer for your consideration, obviously I won't be a part of it, but this group met once a month for years. It was COVID that pushed us into more frequent meetings. And with once a month, maybe the meeting was a little longer, but we were able to really drive specific agenda items to that meeting. So kind of food for thought.
Thanks, Robin. I think, yeah, one of our topics for the beginning of either the next meeting or the meeting in January will be to discuss, you know, where we plan to go in the next quarter ahead. All right, so we've got that down. So just briefly, we have about 6 more minutes. We had put on here, is there, for a roundtable, are there any projects or initiatives that you want to share with the group or that needs some help? And I see Joe's got his hand up. Joe.
Yes, just to let people know that tomorrow in Durham, at the planning board, they're considering housing amendments to the zoning and significant housing amendments that would allow more housing as part of the initiative. And anybody, if they are interested, they can zoom in and see it. Go to the town's website and you'll see a link in their planning, in the planning commission.
Excellent. Thanks, Joe. Anyone else? All right. Oh,
I'll hop in if I can. You should all have gotten an email from me last week, but we have released the RFQ for marketing services for the workforce development grant or portion of the CEDAR grant. I've also dropped the link on SRPC's website to that request for quotes documentation. So if you know marketing consultants or you have people that you've worked with and really enjoyed, or for chamber people, if you have marketing firms who are members, please pass that link along to them. We're really trying to keep the amount of materials that we're asking for relatively small. We know that sometimes procurement processes can be a big lift. It can be pretty cumbersome. So, you know, rather than having them, for example, come up with a budget of how they would use the full $20,000, we're really looking for you give us estimates of how much it would take you to do, you know, each of these individual things, and then we can talk about the number of them that we're going to put together with some of the firms that kind of rise to the top. We're again looking for a fairly quick turnaround on that. We're hoping as the subcommittee to start reviewing the materials that we've received as of December 9th. So, you know, that was in part our impetus. You know, we'd like to keep this to like 5 pages or less. So, yeah, again, share it around, send any questions SRPC's way. Megan Taylor-Fetter from our office is compiling all of those. We would prefer questions in writing via email, just so that we can take them, answer them in writing, and then put both the question and answer up on our website for everybody's benefit.
excellent. All right. I made it through my first meeting as facilitator. Woohoo! All right. If there's nothing else, remember to get that information to James in the next week and a half. And we will be back here in 2 weeks, everyone. Thank you so much.